Warning. The views and opinions expressed in this program are our own and/or those of our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of our employers. Viewers' discretion is advised.
And you guys know it. You just know it. Other BDOs out there, you know it. Just because they've read the SOP, they understand it, and they know the loopholes when they're pulling one over on the lender.
I see where you're
I
coming
don't
from.
like that.
Yeah, you guys are bashing something that I do a lot of, and they're paying as agreed.
Like, guys, it's okay to make loans that are risky sometimes.
That is the most heated I have ever seen all four of you get with each other. All right, guys, what do you think about my voice being awful right now? What do we think? Do I keep it or do I get better?
I think it suits you.
Why? Because I sound like a boy?
No, it's
You look like you should have a Harley Sportster. You know, something
With a side cab.
I'd love to be in that side cab.
I
Put
can see
Violet in
Violet in
there.
the side cab.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah,
Now
it's
we're
very
talking.
nostalgic for me. You sound like my first grade teacher. But she was 80 and smoked Pall Malls.
In the classroom.
In the
back in your
classroom.
day.
In the back of my head. That's right.
Yeah, she was asking kids to light it. That was different times, baby.
Yeah, hell, we were
That's
smoking in
lit.
the classroom in the first grade.
My mom used to say, give me the ashtray or become the ashtray.
Well, when Kroge was in school, we were allowed to beat kids, so.
They were.
that was a good
Scranton,
one.
Pennsylvania,
That was
stand
a
up.
good one.
Yeah. BDOs. Have you ever had a borrower bring in like a brother-in-law to do their life insurance? Doesn't end well, does it? We've all been there. When you require life insurance on your SBA loan, it's critical that you bring in a company that specializes in getting these policies in place for the SBA loans. The last thing you want is for life insurance to be the holdup. We all know that's a rookie mistake. SBA Protection Quick Close Life Insurance is the fastest, easiest way to secure the insurance protection that your borrower needs for their SBA loan. Their process is simple, hassle-free, and only takes a few minutes of your borrower's time. No lengthy paperwork, no complicated forms. They even have programs that don't require labs or doctor records for approval. And best of all, you will have the collateral assignment back in less than 24 hours. It's a no-brainer. Go to sbaprotection.com for more information or email Adam Bergen at adam@sbaprotection.com.
All right, guys, we are going to actually talk about something that changed recently. We had some updates. 7A had some changes. So we are going to talk about our winners with the change and some of our losers, some of the things we didn't like with the change. So why don't we go ahead and start with Alan? What was your winner in this change with the SOP update?
Well, the recent update that I really appreciated was the ability to do the partial change of ownership as an asset sale now, right? So before, it would have to be a stock purchase. You'd have to buy in that way. And, I'm not an attorney, didn't pass the bar. There's plenty of great attorneys I work with, though. You could talk to them about it. But there's certainly some protections and benefits in some situations where the asset sale is far more attractive. So I think that that's really good because I've definitely seen situations where we wanted to include the seller post-close. They wanted to be around after 12 months. And, the rule previous is that they cannot be an officer nor an employee, but they can be a consultant or advisor for a period not to exceed 12 months.
Nice cooking on that.
I know the SOP 2025. Haven't had a hangover in months. So
No cue.
Credit managers call you about SOP.
We're going to ignore the fact that Alan just stole mine completely.
yeah.
He just
This
left
is true.
me out to
He-
dry.
he did.
1,000%.
He jumped right on it, man.
No. The asset sale specifically, though, because it can ensure the continuity of licensure and key vendor and customer relationships. So for that, now having the protection of doing it via asset sale, I think is a big one. Was that really yours?
It really was. It's okay.
But
you're good.
To opine on that, though, a little bit further, the piece that I think is most important to, at least at our bank, because we're very big on experience.
Mhm.
If a guarantor doesn't have direct industry experience, it's going to be very difficult for us to get comfortable with the credit.
Yeah.
So
As it should.
being able to keep a seller on board, rolling the equity, as I like to say, for 10%, 15%, alleviates a lot of that stress.
Mhm.
Because the guy who's been there for 20 years, who's built a company from scratch, who has the respect of all the foremen and all the people who work for him, all the blue collar guys that are in the break room. Having him stick around is huge for us. It takes so much risk off the table. And the licensing piece of it is also huge, but it's just about that knowledge. And it's also just about the transition of the employees as well. I think a lot of these guys who want to go in here and buy businesses, they just do it based on paper. They look and say, hey, this is a great EBITDA. I'm getting it at a good multiple. I'm going to make X amount. But they don't really realize that, especially in some of these more blue collar businesses, your HVAC, your plumbing, these types of stuff, like these are some guys who have been doing this for 25, 30 years who, they're a little grizzled. They're not the guys that were in your MBA class with you.
Right.
And they're looking at you a little sideways when you walk in the door, and maybe you're a 28-year-old or something like that who hasn't done what they've done to get where they are. And that culture and that dynamic sometimes can become toxic very easily if you let it. So having somebody who can stay around, who can essentially be that bridge from maybe the older way of doing things, the old generation, into the new generation, I think is a huge winner.
Yeah.
Don't you think that structure, to me, the asset partial buy-in structure, is just so convoluted that it brings a private equity aspect into SBA that I feel shouldn't exist. And you bring in, search funder types and buyers that really don't have the experience nor like the acumen, the liquidity, and they come with these convoluted structures and they read the SOP and they think they're just as smart as the SBA.
5 different
limit.
forgivable seller
That's
notes.
why-
Right. And it's like, this is not an
can't have an
SBA.
earn out, but we'll do 5.
Right. And to me, this is not an SBA deal or what it should be. That was not what the program was designed for. You
So you
have
think it's
access.
a loser?
I don't know if it's a loser, but I think it's neutral. I think it's just too convoluted for what we do. And I don't think that's the spirit of the program, to help people that have access to money to buy a business to leverage money from the government or leverage money from a bank that's government guaranteed.
I couldn't agree with you more. I would echo what you said 100%, man. I think that the spirit of this program was to help individuals acquire businesses, not turn it into a private equity fund, not turn it into something that you're kind of creating a loophole to allow groups of people to buy into businesses and change the whole structure. No.
Right.
This is for an individual or partners to buy a business and run that business.
Right.
This program was not created for you to have passive income from business streams. And it annoys me that a lot of these new changes, and I'll get to my winners and losers here shortly, that it's changing it into that type of air. And I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's not what the program was about.
So I guess, but with the partial buy-in, I guess, how is that making it to where people are becoming passive? Explain that.
Well, I
a little
like the
bit.
partial buy-in.
I
but
like the
think
partial buy-in too.
I think
Because that makes a
doing
lot
it
of
as
sense.
an asset purchase where the seller is rolling over equity into the new company and essentially getting a $4 million check to still run the same business that they've always run. And then now you got this, I don't want to say kid, or sometimes they're younger, but like I don't think that's the purpose of it. For you and your glow-tanning at some point, you to get a $4 million check that's backed by the SBA and you still run that business and get profits.
Is that an asset versus stock issue though? Or are you just
Not
talking about
necessarily-
partial
well-
buy-ins in general?
Well, it's because I'm okay with partial buy-ins. I just think with the asset, doing it as an asset sale and rolling it into a new entity, I just think the people that are going to leverage that type of structure are going to be search funder types. And I want everyone to get an SBA loan, but those are just not my favorite borrowers.
They're not my
It's
favorite
really
borrowers.
the
I
borrower
think it's
that
more
would
of
do
a
that
structural
structure.
thing, and that happens with any type of a partial buy. I'm
Yeah,
not sure that the
via
asset
stock
thing
sale is the same
necessarily-
thing.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing kind of.
So
either way,
I like
right?
the stock purchase better because it's a little bit more cleaner, and I only like it on certain scenarios. All right, if it's a business where you've got an individual without experience and he's coming in and he's going to only buy 85%, and so conveniently the 15% is going to be for the seller. He doesn't even have a guarantee, but he gets this big chunk of money, and they fudge the numbers enough so that he gets what he wanted and still has 15%. I don't like that. I don't even like that as a stock scenario. All right, if you're getting bought out, get bought out, and let me get a buyer who has some actual experience, because it brings too much of these search funders back into the market, which there's nothing wrong with the search funders.
I do a lot of self-funded search deals, so I got to speak up here.
But
You guys
what
are bashing something that I do a lot of, and they're paying as agreed.
Thank you.
I'm going
That's what I'm
to keep it a buck with you.
How long though?
The room is divided. Like
But
for
now.
now.
Go say what you're going to say.
For
Alex.
now, you're right.
For now, but
For now, you're right.
But these are kids that have no skin in the game.
Well, that's not true, though. I mean, I've
they're
dealt with
jumping in there.
I've dealt with military veterans that buy
Over
in
in
at
the military, of
90%.
course, we support our troops. Now, but that's not what
do
those
we?
deals. That's not what those deals look
And
like.
I guess maybe I should qualify.
You qualify because
Yeah.
a self-funded searcher, what you're talking about is when you got somebody that comes in, they've got no money, they've got no assets, they give you a Word doc with a bunch of headshots of people that don't even have a minority stake, but they're going to be their advisors.
Yeah, those are the ones I want to stay away
from.
Get out of my
inbox,
like it.
But that's not representative of what the actual self-funded search community is all about, right? That's just one section of it.
And on top of that, what's wrong with a little bit of smart money coming into SBA? Like, guys, it's okay to make loans that aren't risky sometimes. It's okay to make loans where you think you're going to get paid back, right?
As far as the seller's first exit, we're still getting an independent third-party business valuation that's determining that what has been purchased is worth what it is purchased.
In my mind, the best way to be a steward of the program is to make the safest loans possible that we think are actually going to pay back.
Right.
And in my mind, having somebody who sticks around in a minority capacity, even if they're running the business, that makes me feel more like I'm going to get paid back than, hey, give the keys to somebody else who's never run this business before.
But quite frankly, I would rather see a larger seller note than equity kept with the seller, because then there's actual money on the line. All right, there's actual money hanging out there. You put that on a standby. If this guy is going to get his money, he doesn't have to be in order to still be around to consult the help to make sure that the business.
But what does he do
forward.
month 13? The seller note's on standby for 2 years.
Correct. Yeah.
No balloon due. That's how it counts towards equity. SOP. So the idea is, for my question to that is, if they cannot be involved in the business after month 12, what good is it? What are we talking about, right? Because technically, right, that on month 13, they're gone anyway. So how can they continue to support
that, I think
and help?
having the equity is still having skin in the game. It is still having money in the deal 100%. I mean, you want to get paid, first of all, on your equity, right? So if you're, for every, let's say you're holding 15%, for every dollar that gets distributed, you're getting 15 cents on every dollar, right?
I'll keep it real on both sides.
It's more easier for, we all take the test. It's easier structuring. It's more easier to fudge the numbers so that the seller and the buyer get what they want, but still have it look on paper that they're really not. I don't like those type of transactions. Al, back to your point, I'm not totally against. So sometimes it makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes it makes sense.
It's what a good operator is a good operator. It's a good operator. When I'm vetting people,
man. If it makes sense, it makes sense. But what I'm seeing out there, is just a bunch of. Maybe I've been in this for too long, but it's a bunch of people.
It sound like back in my day.
New to the industry. It's a bunch of people new to the industry. They
no
like,
real world experience.
No experience.
Never manage budgets. Never manage people. Never manage
like
operations.
To have the idea of being a C-level person
from the jump.
They like the idea.
I'm not doing those deals either, for the record.
Okay.
Bad borrower is a bad borrower.
But there's so much of that out there. But then they structure it and they say, no, you know what, Ryan? It's okay because the seller's going to stay in for their 15%. And we're just going to cut him a check for $4 million. Well, I guarantee you that his original buyout was going to be for $4 million, and you got a side deal for that 15%. So everybody's getting their cake and having it too, and they're pulling one over on the lender.
I see where you're
I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that at all.
I'm with you.
So,
We're
in agreement. I get the theory behind it.
Where I think that they're going to abuse.
Yeah, I get the theory behind it. I just wonder if that actually bears fruit in terms of the numbers and the default in those situations. Are those loans actually going bad more frequently?
I think it's too early to tell.
It's definitely too early to tell.
I think it's too early to tell.
For sure, it's a new rule change.
Let's find out. Let's pick
But I would
up.
love to know in 10 years, looking back, if more of those type of loans where you had somebody who stayed in and rolled equity, if more of those have gone bad versus people who just did full acquisition.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting statistic.
Only time will tell. I just this is, showing my age. I don't think that's the spirit of the program. People that have access to funds to buy a business without a government guarantee that need to leverage it.
I also think you guys are forgetting that people have pride. Like a guy who built his business from scratch for 30 years is not going to let it crumble in front of his face when he's still attached to it and he owns 15% or 20%, or whatever it is.
Definitely not 20.
He's definitely not 20. But people, they have to look their employees in the eye. The guys who I'm talking about in the break room, and then say, hey,
those are the transactions I'm talking about. If it makes sense, if you've got an individual coming in and it makes sense for those two to be partnerships on an 85-15, and they've got the experience, they've got the background, they've got everything. I'm looking at a couple of those deals right now, and I'm the guy that's done deals like that.
Right.
What I don't like is that when you, and you guys know it, you just know it, other BDOs out there, you know it, you see it, It looks like a good deal. It's a great company. It's structured within the SOP, but you just know that they're just putting this on paper to pull one over on the bank just because they've read the SOP, they understand it, and they know the loopholes to structure it and make it look great and eligible for the bank, but you know they're pulling one over. I just don't like that, and I've been seeing a lot of it.
You don't sponsor those credits.
I don't really see that very often.
Right.
But I don't think.
For years, SBA lenders have relied on referral sources because, let's be honest, reaching businesses directly is just not how the industry worked. It was too hard to find the right contact info, and when you did, actually getting them to engage felt impossible. When Ray first heard about this, he was skeptical because he gets pitched every single day. But 15 minutes into this demo, he realized something. This could actually work. Resquared lets you reach local business owners at scale in a way that actually works. Ray's been using it for a few months now, and not only is it effective, but it's kind of fun. In just a few minutes a week, he's sending targeted messages to small business owners and getting real conversations started. Like the childcare owner he connected with that was looking to buy their second location with an SBA loan. If you ever considered connecting with small business owners and didn't have the right tool to do it, this is it. Resquared is offering a discount just for BDO Show listeners. So go ahead and schedule your demo today, and we'll leave a link in the show notes for you below.
But I don't think a lot of these sellers are hanging around with this 10%, 15% ownership. Let's keep it real. It's 12 months at best. They're not there in year 2 or 3.
Right. I haven't been in the break room. I can't speak to that. Hey.
Because they know underwriting doesn't do any, SBA doesn't do any post-closing underwriting.
Exactly.
So once they have his 15%, who's to say that 10 months later, it's gone?
Right.
Hey guys, speaking of losers.
Whoa, losers. Oh my goodness. That's a winner right there.
Oh, man.
Guys, you have them for being sick.
That is the most heated I have ever seen all 4 of you get with each other.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we're kind of on the same page. It's just, it got me a little riled, and I think it got Chris a little riled too, because I think we're both seeing people abuse it. Mm-hmm. Right, we're starting to see.
I haven't seen anybody abuse it. I don't know, man. I've seen
agree,
people the opposite way of being like, "Hey, this guy doesn't want to give up control. He still wants to be here."
I've seen deals like that. I mean, I'm in the mix of a deal like that right now, where the guy's holding on to 15% because he's convinced he's the glue that holds that together.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And we've got a guy coming in with experience, with a down payment too.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's going to operate and run it.
I'm sure it happens both ways.
It happens
both ways.
And so for something like that, that makes sense for the bank. All right. They're buying it for less than 400% value. The guy's truly staying there for 15% because he feels he's the glue that keeps the customer base coming in.
Right.
And you got a new guy coming in with a whole bunch of ideas to expand it and take it to the next level. That makes sense to me. I'm doing that deal all freaking
We agree.
day long.
We're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, and
what
I'm talking about are
Yeah.
these guys, and I shouldn't have used the word search funder because I'm sure those guys from this, but they just seem to come from that world, right?
Well, there's a lot
of search funders,
and there's nothing wrong with them, but I think they're abusing that too.
The social media guru culture of buy a business, get rich, quit your job, get out of the rat race. 90 days later,
it's ruining
you're rich.
Yeah.
That's trash, man. I'm not dealing with those folks. And the fact is, when we're sponsoring a credit, we've got real experience, real grit, and a PFS with real post-close liquidity from money that they've saved throughout their journey. Right?
That's what I want to see.
Here's what I say, though,
that's
guys,
what I want to see.
We all want the SBA program to grow. We want it to be more accessible to people.
Right.
Like, you can't want that and then also be mad when more people show up.
Well, imagine this too. If you're sponsored back credits and you are to blame for your own bank's, your institution's portfolio performance takes a dip, guess what's getting tighter? It's up to you to protect the house so you can continue to do good deals that you like to do, right? And I think
100%.
that personal responsibility is
the responsibility obviously rests with the lender at the end of the day.
If I get a buyer,
you're going to get more of everybody once you cast a wider net, right? So I think it's a good thing that we have all different types of people gravitating towards using SBA lending. It's still the bank that has to be a prudent lender at the end of the day.
And I think everybody obviously on this podcast is a prudent lender, but we all know that we've got the order takake out there, the BDOs that are struggling. That it's August and they've only done $2 million.
Well, let them do it. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. My only concern is that I've been in this role long enough that I've seen enough of those BDOs take advantage of people skirting the system that it screws the SBA and the SBA gets tight.
Right.
All right. Heck, I remember there was a time where legislation was sitting on the Congress floor to reduce our ability to pay brokers. because brokers were abusing that system.
Right.
The 1 or 2 points or whatever they're paying, plus they're paying back end points, plus they're paying money up front, and they were making too much money. And Congress is like, okay, they're abusing the system. Now, not only do we not want brokers to be paid, you can't pay brokers anymore, but you know what? Instead of splitting the fee that you make out in the secondary market, let's open this. We'll drop it from 10% down to 8%.
Mm-hmm.
And that was legit legislation because people were abusing the program.
Right.
And what I don't want are some of these new BDOs or these fly-by-night BDOs that are struggling to get business to allow these type of loans to get done, abusing the system, and now the SBA's got to take a knee-jerk reaction and pull back all the rest of it.
Overcoaching them through the process.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, your projection should look like this, like that kind of stuff.
All right, guys, I love how heated that got because there were obviously two sides at one point, and then we sort of all blended and started to, I think everybody was kind of saying the same thing, but in a different way, but we all sort of agreed to disagree. We have time actually for one more winner or loser, but I do believe that this is going to be a really good part 2. So why don't we go ahead and do one more, and then we'll have the second episode again after that.
Yeah,
Sounds
sounds
good.
Let's
So,
make it happen.
Chris, what do you got for a winner or loser?
I personally think debt refinance, the changes were a winner. In particular, that now the requirement that you have to meet is just the 10% savings, whereas that used to be an and, now it's sort of an or, so to speak. So it opens up more borrowers to be able to refinance through the SBA program. Going back to what we were talking about before, you're going to have more borrowers that have the opportunity to take out an SBA loan, whereas before it's like, hey, I couldn't help you because you didn't meet these 4 parameters, plus you got to meet this other one, right? So it's a little bit easier now. I do like that you can refinance a 7A loan with another 7A loan.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you do that, you should be advancing new money, though. I don't know if it makes sense just to straight out refinance an existing 7A with another 7A, unless you're really
it should be
dropping that
one
rate.
piece of their story that they're trying to accomplish,
Absolutely,
right?
with some working capital, some equipment.
Kind of like
they
how
gotta
the
pay guarantee
504
fees.
program worked. You know,
Right.
you could refinance a 504,
Never heard of
504 as long as you expanded.
What's
504 's never heard of
504?
it.
Never heard of 504? We don't do 504s here.
Has anyone actually done a 7A refinance yet?
I'm working on one right now.
Okay, because I haven't actually done one yet.
I haven't done
Yeah,
one. I haven't done one since they made it super tight about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was going
We
to say
have. It was
20 or
my
30
deal,
years
but I
ago.
flipped it
Yeah,
to
we
another.
used to.
And
Right.
to Chris's point, the request I'm looking at, the refi is one piece of a broader story of the business and their growth trajectory,
And see, that makes
including
sense.
equipment and additional working capital.
Yeah, we did one. I brought it in house, but I flipped it to another
Similar
one. It was
thing.
like a
Yeah.
$3 million deal.
Yeah.
I think 2 and some change was the refi, and then the rest was working capital and some equipment
Yeah.
as they were expanding.
Yeah.
And it made sense, and we didn't have to cut the rate that much too. I
Right.
mean, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was 75 basis points or
Yeah, it felt good because usually that's just a hard stop. You know, we need to help clean up the balance sheet. Like, oh, I said S7A loan. Like,
right.
Sorry,
you
you
can
know
say
what I mean?
yes
But-
a lot more now.
And
Yeah.
it couldn't have come at a better time, too, because we're in a stage right now where interest rates are starting to drop.
Right.
And so those who are getting loans during a really high interest rate phase are going to be able to reap the benefits of taking a lower interest rate, refinancing it. You know, people were throwing out there when rates were really high, they were getting fixed SBA loans at 10% instead of taking a variable at 11.25.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? Full boat pricing, you're cutting that 10% right now on a refi.
Yeah.
What I really like and hate at the same time is the ability to pay off MCA debt right now. So, because MCA debt, it's not debt.
It's
right?
a purchase and sale
It's
of future
purchase
receivables. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So I have a love-hate relationship with this because
it's also a judgment against the borrower because if you get 3 merchant cash advances,
Yeah.
you've failed
gonna
the
get
C.
4 and 5.
And if 5 C's a
You're
character,
going to get
you
4
missed
and
it. Yes.
5 and
And
6
you're
and
stacking
7.
right after I close,
Yeah.
you're going to get 3 more.
MCA debt is the quintessential biggest loophole in predatory lending
It
that they
is.
allowed to happen in
It
this
skirts
country.
usury.
Because
Yeah.
it scoots usury, number one.
Right.
And number two, it takes advantage of these retailers.
Right.
It completely takes advantage of them, tell them, oh, it's easy, you won't miss it, it'll be taken off the top. And then they absolutely screw them with 50 to 60% interest rate, effective interest rates
so how about
on their
this?
debt.
I have a proposed rule change, okay? You can only get a refinance of MCA debt with an SBA loan one time.
Can you
Never-
call
Yeah,
it?
because
never
that-
again.
that-
You know
that's
you
what-
always have an
Because
out.
if you've already done it
Dude,
once, you should
you're
not
feeding the
touch the
bear.
stove
You're
twice.
You're
Yeah.
feeding the bear, man, because
Right.
that's exactly what I think is going to happen.
Right.
Now that you can pay off this MCA debt, MCA debt is super easy to get.
Yeah, of
An
course.
SBA loan takes 60 to 90 days, right? So someone's going to sit here and say, I need some working capital. I need it now. Oh, I'm just going to get a whole bunch of MCA debt up to $1 million right off the bat. Turn around and refinance it with an SBA loan. That is a bad way of doing it,
Did I
man.
ever tell you
But
about
they're
that?
going to do that.
Did I ever tell you about this? So I have a loan broker contact of mine, right? Great dude, whatever. You got don't do business with them anymore because we're looking at a refi to clean up a couple MCAs. They were cleaner MCAs, right? It wasn't the 40-day 149. It was the point is, while we're going through it, we get an updated debt schedule. We get the loan approved. Oh, wouldn't you know?
He's
they
got
got 3 more positions. Not 1, not 2, 3 more positions. So I got to call. I got to talk to my credit team lead, Colin. I go, hey, and he's like, what are we going to do here? You know what I mean? Because at that point, it's like, obviously, they're not taking the whole thing seriously. They just keep taking this money. And then that referral partner who I fired was the one jamming it down.
And
that's what you have to watch.
And you can't refi debt that they put in a bad spot and then pull them out of it, put them back into it.
And you got to think about it because
you're churning, man.
And I don't even want to say brokers. These the brokers or referrers,
predators,
sharks. And that's what they are. They're going to be loan sharks because they know they can make so much money. They're out
there.
10 points and MCA is paying these guys, 3 to 5 points on delivering MCA debt on this business. So they're going to be pushing it. Right. Again, I've said it once. I've said it again. Commission killed the sales piece because you're no longer looking out for your customer's pocket. You're looking out for your own pocket.
Right.
So you got these brokers out there just trying to push as much MCA debt, making that 3 to 5 points on it, waiting a couple months, coming back. Oh, you're stressed out? Wow, I'm surprised about that.
5 points. Let me go. Try 10.
Let me introduce you to my SBA guy who's going to refinance his debt off you, and he's making a point and a half from the SBA guy on top of the 10 points that he already made. I mean, he's making out like a bandit,
and then puts him in an MCA right after that SBA.
And you close some fun. You don't think that he's jamming another one down their throat?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is completely against the spirit of the
spirit of the program.
The spirit of the program.
This rule change is a good one because I feel like everyone should get at least one chance.
I agree.
Because there's a lot of people who just don't know
everyone gets a second.
Because
everyone's going to get taken advantage of.
There's a lot of like salt of the earth people who just it's like they run their factory and they create their widget.
They get jammed up. They get jammed up. They sign something without reading
money, like $100,000 in 2 days. Like that sounds fantastic.
Actually,
why would I not?
The best thing that would happen is just make MCA illegal.
That's another proposed rule change, I guess. Law change.
That's one of the consumer. What is it?
Got quiet in here. People are nervous.
I got some friends in Miami. Send me some good advice. I want to go to Game. We got some friends in Miami. We're going to leave that alone. But and they send me good paper. They don't stack. I mean, I do acquisition stuff for that, but it's like, hey man, I got a guy with like 4 positions. Do we? No, I cannot. No,
can't do it.
Because I like to be able to make loans.
At the end of that, I think we all can agree that the refinance opens up the program to a lot more borrowers.
It does,
especially as rates drop.
Net positive on that one.
Net positive.
And like Sterling says, for some of those borrowers who were put in a bad situation, who were taken for a ride and given bad advice, it gives them at least a ripcord.
That's right.
Right. It allows us to step in, get them into something more suitable. I love using that word, more suitable for what their business needs. Because I don't care what kind of business you are, MCA debt is suitable for no one.
Right. And we can take the time to educate them through the process as well. Like, listen, don't do that again. You promise? You promise you won't do that again? Same thing with the MCA broker. Like, not again, right? You promise? Here's your lousy point. Get out of here.
This is probably our spiciest episode yet. And it obviously shows how passionate you guys are about 7A lending. And anytime they make updates, you're like, all right, it's kind of put a wrench into things, which is great. And it opens up a lot of conversation and you get a lot of different perspectives because obviously we're all over the place. We all work at different jobs.
It gives us a chance to host a webinar about the updated changes.
And it's going in the opposite direction right now, too. So about 2010, it went in a different direction. Right. All right. In 2010, they were pulling back. A lot of you guys weren't doing, some of you were doing SBA. A lot of you guys weren't doing SBA lending in 2010. 2010,
trying to get my
prior
degree.
to that, I mean, they now made 10% equity required, where prior to that, you could do 100% financing. They made a whole lot of stuff required and really pulled back the program because people were abusing the rules.
It's a correction.
People were abusing the program.
Right.
And I thought at the time, oh man, that's going to be tough. But you know what? Over the next 10 years, they made the right decisions on pulling that back. But now that they're seeing some money, now that they're seeing some growth, now that everybody's getting back into SBA, the skids are getting greased. So now the SBA is like, maybe we'll loosen it back up again. Maybe they learned their lesson back in 2008. We'll We'll make refinancing easier. We'll make 100% financing more available again. We'll do this. We'll do that.
Would you say we're in our MCA era right now?
Oh.
I think
Oh my gosh, no.
Hey, I know some institutions do some pretty husky incentives for brokers, but no 10 points.
No 10 points. Dude.
And with that, we are going to end the episode because we have part 2 coming.
Wait, what part is it?
No.
Part
no.
2. We don't do that anymore, do you? 2025. That's right, 2025.
You leave that too.
I'm setting him up for that every time.
I
We
want to
got
see
no
it.
promos at this bank anymore.
More promos. We're back to being the number one in your heart.
Number one.
Oh my gosh.
Pack just spit out his teeth.
All right, you guys.
We're done.
All right, guys, great episode. Everybody, thank you for watching and listening. Don't forget to check out our sister shows, SBA Today and the original Art of SBA Lending podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and send your topics and suggestions over to the BDO Show at artofsba.com. And we will see you next time.